Today we're going to show you one of the most beautiful buildings in the world.
But unfortunately, only from the outside. Hi everyone, welcome to our 133rd episode of Around the World with Joshua and Alyssa. And the last 2 weeks we have showed you some things in Montreal in Canada, and today we're going to show you something else. So last week we looked at the docks. After we got done down at the port, we went to Old Montreal. And there is this square right in the middle of Old Montreal, and they had it all decorated for the winter and for Christmas that was coming up. And on the other side of this square, if you were to turn around from where this picture was taken, is this huge building. And this is a side view of it, but this building is called the Notre Basilica of Montreal. Now, if that at all sounds familiar to you, there is a university in Indiana or somewhere with that name. But there's also a huge basilica in
Paris,
France. And it looks like this from the side, and it looks like this from the front. And Alyssa took these pictures, not me, so I'll let her tell you about it.
So this is the Basilica of Notre Dame. It had a fire in it a few years ago, so these pictures were before the fire, but I think they've been able to restore everything to basically what it looked like before the fire. But it's a beautiful building. It's huge, and like you can see people at the bottom of it, if that gives you an idea of how tall it is. And here's a picture from it straight on. I think that's me on the left, on the bottom.
Yep.
Like really tiny.
You're just a little guy.
Me and my roommate when we did our European tours and adventures.
So that's the Notre Dame in Paris, France, and this is the Notre Dame in Montreal. And you can see some similarities. It's because they both are built with that Gothic architecture.
But it's a lot smaller.
Yes. And if you were to look back and forth at the picture, you see there's several more differences.
Yeah.
But when you hear the name and then you just look at it briefly, you're like, oh, they're related.
Yeah.
And I think in all reality, they actually have no relation. It just so happens that's what they both are named and have that same type of architecture. The one in Montreal here, if you could see it when it's all lit up at night, which we did not, it has all these blue hues that are just showing through the windows and the doors in front. That's because the vaults are colored deep blue and decorated with golden stars. The rest of the sanctuary inside, which we also did not get to see, but someday it'd be really cool to, is also decorated in blues, azures, reds, purple, silver, and gold.
Wow.
So it's like not the typical you walk into a Catholic church and it's like golds and reds and oranges. This one's blues, so it looks really cool. It is filled with hundreds of intricate wood carvings. It has stained glass windows, but unlike most basilicas where they are pictures from the Bible, these stained glass windows are scenes from the religious history of Montreal. It has a pipe organ with 7,000 pipes.
The giant pipe organ.
And 4 keyboards.
Wow.
It's approximately 11 million people visit this basilica every year. And this year, it was named the 6th most beautiful building in the world by Angie, something that analyzes TripAdvisor reviews. And the Angie ranked Notre Dame in Paris second, and Barcelona's Sagrada, how do you say it? Sagrada Familia.
Yeah.
There we go.
Sacred Family.
Yes. That one was ranked first, and so this was 6th on the list of most beautiful buildings in the world.
Too bad we didn't get to go inside.
I know, because it's not quite as beautiful on the outside. It's cool, but Anyway, so yeah, that is the Notre Dame Basilica of Montreal. Hopefully someday we'll be able to go back and see more of it and get inside. But just being on the outside, and it was actually, even though not as big as the one in France, it was still really tall. Like these pictures, we had to back up really far in order to get them because it was just massive.
The inside of the Notre Dame in Paris is very dark, so it was hard. I think I have one picture of the inside of it, of that big window in the front that you see the circle.
Oh yeah, big circle.
But other than that, it was like almost impossible to take any sort of picture because it was so dark.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this one is better lit.
Well, just looking at the pictures I saw online, I think so. But cool.
Okay, we'll have another part of our story.
Okay.
So we've been talking about Gracia and Martin Burnham, and they were getting ready last time in our story for jungle camp, right? She was in jungle camp and they were doing some different things, learning lots of skills. And after they finished jungle camp, there still was other stuff they needed to learn. They needed to learn a new language for the area of the Philippines that they were going to. They needed to learn about giving up a lot of things because as missionaries, they were going to have to give up what they were used to. Their house, being close to family, the same kind of foods they're used to, all sorts of things like that. And so in their missionary training, they even kind of helped them get ready for those things too. Well, finally, they were ready to go to the mission field. And they were very excited once they got there. And it's really cool to see how God uses what they like to do as part of their mission work. So right away, Martin got busy flying. And he had a really nice little plane that he flew. And he was a really good pilot. He could do a great job of landing on tiny little airstrips and then getting back out of them without hitting any jungle or causing any problems, and he was really good at it. God had given him that gift, and he was able to use it to help others. So what they would do is Martin would help deliver things to people out in the jungle. So what kind of things do you think people out in the jungle might need? Maybe like groceries, or medicine, or mail, or maybe they might need a doctor to come visit them there. There's all sorts of things you could stop and think about if you were just living kind of if you think about living in the middle of the woods and you have nothing, no stores around, those are the kind of things he could help bring. And so he would bring them to the people and he would use his little plane. Now, Gracia had her job to do too. So her job was she would be on the radio. And sometimes she would be talking to Martin or helping him with things. And other times she would be calling the missionaries that were out in the jungle. And she would ask them for different things that they might need. So then she can make a list and prepare them for the next time Martin would go out. So then he could bring them exactly what they needed. So it was a great system. She got to talk to people a lot and be all organized, which were things that she really loved to do. And God used that to be part of her ministry. And sometimes Martin would call back as he was flying and such. And one day, he was out flying and he called back to Gracia and he said, "You have to pray right now. The weather is rough and one of my engines is not working and I don't know if I'm going to ever be able to land this plane safely." And so Gracia right away started praying. She radioed into the missionaries he was going to and she told them, "You've got to pray. He's not sure if he's going to be able to land this plane and something's going wrong." But she just kept praying and praying and praying and praying. And finally she heard a response back on the radio. And it was Martin. He said, "Gracia, I'm on the ground. And do you hear everybody cheering with me?" And he held the microphone out so everybody could cheer. They're all cheering with me because I made it and I landed the plane. And God answered our prayer. Whew, that was a big answer to prayer because you could get really hurt if you didn't land an airplane safely. And the people could. So the missionaries and the people all in the area cheered and celebrated with him. And I'm sure lots of little things like that happen all the time. And God was still looking out for them. Well, Martin and Gracia were in the Philippines for 16 years, and they had 3 children by now. They had 2 boys, Jeff and Zach, and 1 girl named Mindy. And Gracia taught them at home. So instead of having to send them away to school like Martin had when he was a boy and his family was missionaries in the Philippines, she would just teach them at home. So they got to be homeschooled instead. And every few years, they would pack up their stuff and they would go back to the United States and they'd share with other churches what they were doing how they were able to help the people in the area and how God was at work, and then they'd be able to raise money to go back as missionaries again and to keep working and serving. Well, to celebrate their 18th wedding anniversary, Martin and Gracia decided they were going to take a trip to a little island, and this island was the island of Palawan. So they went there kind of like as a little vacation and just some time away from just their normal work. So I think we have it here on our map. We do. So here's our map of the Philippines. The capital city is way up here, but then the island of Palawan is down here. Or islands, there might be more than one. So that's where they went for their anniversary trip. And while they were there, they were having such a great time enjoying all the beautiful views and the beaches and all the great places to walk around, and they were at a nice beach cabin when there was a loud knock at their door. Boom, boom, boom. They went to the door, and there were 3 men standing there with machine guns in their hands. And you're going to have to come back next time to find out what happens.
Whew. We've been to Palawan.
We have.
We didn't see anybody with machine guns.
No. But it was really great snorkeling and beautiful views.
I can see why you'd want to do that for your anniversary.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to find out next time, and we're going to move on to our next thing today. So come back next week. All right, so we are going to look at another ministry in Athens.
Mm-hmm.
And that ministry is Rain Lab. It's both a business and a ministry. So here's a picture inside Rain Lab. They sell fashion items. So you can see some bags there on the back and some
Clutches. That's what we call them.
Yes. Thank you. And we also made a video for them while we were there. So we're going to show that video to you now. It's about 1 minute long, and they will explain to you what Rain Lab does. So let's see if we can get this started. Here we go.
Here in Rain Lab, we create fashion that empowers individuals that they are coming to Greece for find a better future. We make backpacks for men's and women's bags and accessories. All our products are handmade. Here in Rain Lab, we help women. We teach them how to sew. After they complete their training, they're ready to show our products. We want to help them be sustainable. We want to help them find a better future, live a better life. Most of them want to go to Europe, to Western Europe, to unite it with their families. And so Rain Lab is like a place that they can learn a skill, and of course they can raise the funds that they need to travel to the other country and meet their families.
So that gives you an idea of what Rain Lab does. It was really cool because that lady who is the manager of the business, she was born in Greece, but she's Filipino. And so it was fun to be able to connect with her that way since I'm Filipino. But anyway, she designs a lot of these things, and then there are ladies there who make the stuff. They learn these skills, and then they put their skills to use, and then they are able to make a living from it. Alyssa got one of these bags, I believe.
Yeah.
So
One just like that greenish blue one in the middle.
that's probably the one you got, actually.
Actually, maybe.
Because a few days later after this picture, we came back and bought it. So yes, they have some really cool, and they're really high quality things too. They don't just look cool, they were really well made.
Yes.
And so while we were there were a couple ladies there who had been trained on how to do these things, and they were busy working away. So busy that they didn't even really have time to look at us or anything. They were just working really hard. While we were there with our team, before the marathon, several people went and they bought out half the store basically. Bought a lot of the different things for Christmas gifts for friends and family. And then this is right next door to them, and they are praying that they will be able to buy this location here, this extra room, because they are outgrowing their space and they need more. And so this place here, it's not a business that is operational right now. So they're praying that they would be able to buy that space and expand their business and expand their ministry there. So you can pray for Rain Lab that God would open the door for them to be able to get that location.
Yep. And that'd be really handy. It really is like right next door. And they have an online store that they sell from too. And they are always running out of stock on stuff on their online store too, because people buy it online to support these women who are working there, either refugees or women who have gotten out of a bad lifestyle and they're looking to be able to raise money on their own to work hard at a different kind of job. So it's a really cool ministry, and it's small. Like that shop is really tiny that they make all of that stuff in, and they use their space really well, and God has blessed them. It's a cool way to reach out to these ladies who have been coming from other countries and need a job. And so they learn a really good skill, and then they can sell their things, and it's really cool for them to see all those things being bought by people and supporting what they're doing.
Yeah, especially because some of this stuff is stuff you might buy from other stores for really expensive because it's so nice and such good quality. But some of those places, you don't always know where they're coming from or who's making them, what you're supporting. Not that all those places are always bad, of course. But some places do use labor, maybe that's not the same as this, and not supporting people the same way to help them and their families and their livelihood. So this is one of those places, if you want to get something really nice and support a really good cause and a Christian ministry, this is a way that you can do it.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you come back next time to hear more about Europe and our story.
Yep.
We'll see you then.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.